I'm just waiting to see that it looks like more and more people are joining in. So I'll just give everybody just a couple of seconds to get through. Lovely to see you all. Hi. Rachel, you're going to be my person in case I zoom out. That's
No,
okay.
no problem.
So
Nice to
if
see
I,
you, Deanne.
it's lovely to see you. So if I suddenly freeze, wave frantically, and if you if you freeze, I know that I've gone off again.
No problem.
It's always a little dodge. So thank you. Hey, Karen. And I would also like to say hello to Steph, who works with me within the professional learning team. And Steph is going to be watching out for the chat and answering all the questions. And she's in the little computer box in our offices, I can
I
tell.
am. Hi, everyone.
Um, Excellent. So I think it's 16 minutes past 11, and it looks like we've got about 20 people close to, exactly 20 people at the moment. So I might just get started to make sure that we just stay on time and keep everything going. So just to make sure that you're in the right place, what we're going to be talking about in this session today is the graduate certificate in university teaching practice. It's an information session to help you understand. So as I said, Steph is monitoring the chat space, is going to make sure that there's any questions. She'll answer them directly if you've got something specific. But if there's something that you would like to raise, the other thing is just please feel free to jump off mute and onto your mic, and then we'll answer your questions then and there. I think that's the most important part of this particular session, is to answer your questions and make sure that you're ready to go with what's happening. So as always, I'd like to begin with the acknowledgement of the country. I'm working from home today, so I'm in Yugara country today. And I'd like to pay my respects to traditional owners and custodians on the lands in which we're all meeting. I know that we're all over the place and in different spaces and places as we work on Zoom land today. I'd like to, on behalf of you all, pay respects to the ancestors and descendants and all of those who continue cultural and spiritual connections to country that make sure that we benefit and have incredible contributions to Australian and global society, and that we are able to move forward in harmony. I'd like to also acknowledge any Indigenous peoples within this room Zoom today, and to pay my respect and welcome your contributions right the way through. What we're looking at today is just a brief overview of what the grad cert actually is, and how we're actually setting it up, ideas about what the courses are, who can actually participate in the session, why you would even bother doing this, and why it might be a good way to go. We want to give you an explanation of the first course, because it can be seen to be a little bit complex, and we want to make sure you really understand it and what the Teaching Foundation streams are. And we also want to make sure that you have a clearer understanding about what the eligibility requirements and the entry requirements actually are. There is an application process, of course there is, for the grad cert, but we also want to give you the option of not doing the full grad cert. Perhaps you want to engage with a professional learning pathway instead. As I said, Steph is actually monitoring the chats. So if there is a question that you have got, then you're more than welcome to pop that into the chat facility as well. But the questions and answers session is probably the most important part of the session today, to make sure that we get everything and your information that you're working with is a clearer understanding of what it is that we're doing. Okay, so it's going to be a very brief whistle-stop tour of what the Graduate Certificate of University Teaching Practice is. And you'll see the acronym for that is GZB, and I'm not going to say that. I'm just going to call it the Grad Cert, because it just sounds a lot better. We should really have chosen an acronym that actually is a little bit easier to pronounce. So what the grad cert is, it's a postgraduate qualification. It's only available for UQ staff. So you have to be a UQ staff member, but that means that you can be a UQ staff member in any capacity. If you're engaging with teaching and learning in some manner, you are welcome to participate in the grad cert. It's designed to help you both build and evidence your teaching expertise, particularly in the areas of curriculum assessment and pedagogy. And for those of you that are on academic track, you will know that curriculum assessment and pedagogy are core components of the teaching domains within the APD process, but also the probation and promotion aspects. So what we're going to do is not just help you create the engaged and effective learning environments through the program. We want you to actually experience engaging and effective learning environments. It's very much an experiential program. You take on and you are learners and your students. So you get to see the enrollment process. You get to experience what Ultra looks like from a student's point of view. You get to participate in the assessment tasks and understand how the assessment processes work, but from a student's perspective. It also helps you develop the leadership skills and capabilities that you will need to support your teaching innovation and your scholarship. And it is extrinsically tied to the other recognition schemes that we've got and the other teaching innovation and teaching scholarship schemes that we've got for all UQ staff members. It's designed to be completed part-time. There are four main courses, and you can do those at whenever you actually need to. So you've really got a 10-year period of doing them. Can we suggest that you don't take 10 years to do it in, that you actually try and get through it a little bit quicker? It is possible for you to do more than one course at the time, but if you've got a particularly heavy teaching load, can we recommend you don't do that? What we would recommend is doing one of the core units at a time, core courses at a time. And then do those in a sequential fashion. Some of these courses are actually also within a summer semester or could be done as an intensive, the beginning of the year or so on. So it is feasible if you actually really went for it, if you're going to do all four sequentially, to actually get it done comfortably within an 18-month period. So those four courses are designed to support anyone who is at UQ. It doesn't matter what kind of role you're in. You could be an academic title holder working within the medical field, for example. You could be a tutor, a person who's doing tutoring roles or small group facilitation. You could be new to UQ, but it also could be that you've been at UQ for a sustained period of time and have got a large number of hours of teaching under your belt, but you're really wanting to look to enhance your practice. It's also open to professional staff. So that includes learning designers, but it also includes learning advisors, practicum facilitators, anybody who works and engages with teaching staff or students or supporting learning in any kind of environment, clinical educators through to industry specialists. If you're wanting to engage with if you are engaging as well, sorry, with outreach towards industry. So in other words, if you're running continuing professional development programs, you're more than welcome to participate in this course as well. So it's for everybody, whether you're in a casual position, a fixed term position, or a continuing position. The only caveat is that you have to be employed at UQ. Should you choose to move to another university at some point, you won't be able to continue the program because it's for UQ staff. And it's very much orientated towards UQ. It does mean that a lot of the courses that you've got are actually transferable to others. And we have built up relationships with most of the Australian universities who have similar courses and similar programs, and you may well be able to get course credit for the program elsewhere. The key thing about this is that it is free to UQ staff. There's no fees for you, and that does unfortunately mean that international students, so maybe you're a PhD student, an international PhD student, you're not able to participate in the grad cert. That doesn't mean jump out of this immediately. Then you it does mean that there are other pathways to do it, and you can still experience the courses, if not complete the full grad cert. So I'll talk through those in a couple of minutes, and that's what we mean by the professional learning pathway. So you can still participate in some of the courses, but you won't be able to be acknowledged with the full grad cert. So it is only for domestic students, and you become, when you enroll, a domestic student. So what it does do for you is that by participating in it, it gives you the opportunity to enhance your teaching skills, but it also gives you the opportunity to gain formal credentials in that endeavor. In some ways, we've been doing this kind of work within Italy and within UQ for an extended period of time. But what we've really been able to do now is bring together um, the the kinds of courses and programs that you may have done previously into a structure that allows you to gain those formal credentials. So it's benefit for you, and that means that you've actually got evidence of your teaching expertise, that you have developed the teaching expertise, and that you actually have evidence of gaining that. So it's not just about the teaching practice and enhancing those, but it's also about ensuring that and demonstrating that you have recognition of that teaching expertise. We'll talk through it a little later, but you, in addition to getting the graduate certificate as a formal program, it also means that you will be able to get an HEA fellowship, which is an international credential that you will be able to take out elsewhere as well. So it's a professional recognition. But I think the most important part of the whole thing is that it really gives you the opportunity to connect with other university educators that comes outside of your discipline area. So the capacity for you to meet and network with people, to learn from and with other people, and to really forge that community is something that people who have already participated in the program and in the courses in the program have already saying. It gives you the opportunity to develop the language that you can communicate your teaching experience with, and your expertise in teaching and learning. But it also gives you the community to help navigate this rather complex world that we're living in within the university sector at the moment. So you begin the journey with the teaching foundations. You do this as a professional learning course before you get into the grad cert. So in a lot of ways, the reason why we're having this information session is because this is not a standard usual graduate certificate. And one of the reasons why it's not usual is because we have made this program free to UQ staff members. This means that we had to make sure that people could access the program. And as I said, international PhD students or international students aren't able to do the graduate certificate. So what we've done is that we've enabled participants to complete the first course, Teaching Foundations, outside of the graduate certificate. So you enroll in the graduate certificate after you've completed the first course. You do that as a professional learning course. That means that international students can participate in that first course. It means that if you are a temporary visa holder, you can complete that first course. It helps you, that particular course is an introductory or foundational course. It helps you develop the essential teaching skills that you need to have, understand what's actually happening with your environment. And there are 5 different streams that we have for you to engage with. So the first one is a teaching at UQ. That's for anybody who's engaging in any aspect or any type of teaching that happens across the university, whether it's a small group lab demonstration or a large scale guest lecturing, or if it's not clinical education, but practicum supervision that you're doing elsewhere. The reason why I paused for the clinical education is because we've got a new stream to the foundations. It's specifically targeting clinical educators. And CAPE is for clinical and practice educators who supervise UQ students outside of their classes on their practicum roles or in when they're actually in the workplace. We also have a module for experienced teachers who want to do the grad cert. You may already have a fellowship or an associate fellowship of the HEA. You've already demonstrated that you've built some capacity. Perhaps you've been promoted into a level C position. That means that you've actually already demonstrated some evidence of your teaching expertise at the level that which we require it. So we have got an RPL module that is a truncated version of it that allows you to do the assessment and still gain the credit that you would have for the first course without having to go through all of the introductory capabilities that you essentially have built and can evidence elsewhere. So the eligibility criteria for each stream is available on the Italy website. Steph, if you wouldn't mind just putting into the chat the Italy webpage so everybody can access it and see and start cruising around to see if there's some criteria around it. So in essence, you begin the journey with the teaching foundations through one of multiple streams where you can actually, thanks Steph, where you can actually sense and talk to your community, talk to the types of teachers that you are. I neglected to mention the LD stream. The LD is for essentially for learning designers, but learning advisors and learning professional staff who works with students or with staff who would like to engage with this particular program as well, whose prime function is around teaching or supporting student learning, but don't necessarily coordinate a course or have an active engagement with the actual face-to-face teaching kind of component. That would be your stream there, the LD at UQ. The teaching foundations outcomes, once you've finished the course, you do the assessment pieces. There are 3 or 4 assessment pieces that you would do. They're all the same assessment pieces that you would do. And regardless of what stream they are, you automatically in the assessment get your, if you pass this assessment, obviously, you automatically get the teaching foundation certificate. It's been this particular stream has, or that particular course has been accredited by an organization called Advanced Higher Education, or Advanced HE, which is a UK-based organization that accredits the fellowship of the higher education academies. So that course is accredited at Associate Fellow. So as soon as you finish those assessment pieces, you automatically exit with an associate fellowship of the HEA or AFHEE, which you could use as a post-nominal. And that is an external recognition of the kind of level of teaching capabilities that you can demonstrate effectively. The credit for the HEA EDHE 6001 is automatically applied when you've completed the teaching foundation stream, and that means that you will get an invitation to apply for admission to the grad cert, depending on whether you actually are eligible to participate in it. In that, you will automatically have passed the first course of the grad cert, and then I'll talk through the next 3. So graphically, what this would look like is we've got the different streams that you can engage with that automatically lead to your foundation certificate, the first purple block, and your associate fellow. And then you get the invitation to apply for admission, and you've already got the course credit for it. That means that you've got another 3 courses to complete in order to get the grad cert. The first 2, curriculum design at UQ and teaching in practice, you can do in either order. If you complete both of those, you will automatically complete the professional certificate in university teaching, and you will get recognition as a fellow of the Higher Education Academy. That's the professional learning pathway that we were talking about for international students. So if you're an international student you would like to participate in this particular thing, or an international staff member, and you would like to participate in this grad cert, but you can't participate as a domestic student, you can still complete three of the um, four courses for the grad cert. You will still be able to get associate fellow and fellow, and you will have a professional certificate, a micro credential, if you will, of that demonstrates your university teaching. If you were to move to another university, you would probably be able to get course credit for those two courses. And most universities in Australia have some form of a project-based activity, which is the final course, the leading teaching project. And the leading teaching project is the capstone. It's designed to help you develop leadership capabilities. And in completion of that particular course, you may have enough evidence to support you with a case study for a senior fellowship application at a later stage. So what we've tried to do within this grad cert is give you multiple different pathways to access the course, but also multiple different exit points. You can do this just to do the professional learning. You don't have to complete the assessment, but it doesn't necessarily mean that you will get the certificate. It doesn't mean at all. You will not get the certificate or the associate fellow if you don't complete the assessment. So if you complete the assessment, you will get a Teaching Foundations certificate and access to the rest of the grad certs. If you complete the middle two courses, you will get a professional certificate and fellowship of the HEA. If you complete all four courses, you can, and the assessment for all four courses, you will get the graduate certificate. Equally, you could just engage with one or any of the courses, not do the assessment, but engage with the learning, engage with the community that's formed in those courses, and engage with the learning that's in that space. To be eligible for the grad cert, you have to have a bachelor's degree in any discipline. It doesn't have to be a bachelor's degree from UQ. It can be a bachelor degree from any other discipline. You have to have a GPA of 4, and it doesn't matter, or the equivalent on a 7-point scale. And on your prior qualification, it is a graduate certificate, so you have to demonstrate that you have a bachelor's degree or equivalent. You will need to, when at the point of enrollment, you will need to provide evidence of both of those things. So get your paperwork in order now if this is something that you're thinking you want to do. You do have to be employed at UQ or an academic title holder. If you're neither of those, you could still participate. For example, some of the people participating in the Cape at UQ program are industry partners who don't have academic title holder or UQ. They won't be able to progress to the rest of the grad cert. But they can certainly still participate in the Cape at UQ program. If you have teaching, you do have to have teaching or teaching and learning responsibilities, but they could be at a full-time, part-time, or casually employed basis. And the reason why you have to have the teaching is because the assessment actually requires you to demonstrate examples and effectiveness and inclusiveness of your teaching practice for three of the courses. Two of the courses, you actually have to have teaching observations of your teaching practice. And you do need to make sure that you actually do have teaching or teaching and learning support responsibilities in order to participate in those activities. You also have to have the support of your head of school or your supervisor. And by supervisor, I mean two different things. If you're a PhD student, you should be able to get support permission from your PhD supervisor. If you report not to the head of school directly, but to an academic supervisor or a professional staff manager, you should have their support as well. Please note that if you are a PhD or a master's by research candidate, you also need to have approval from the Dean Graduate School supporting your enrollment. Please note again that this is not available to international students, but you can do all of this as a professional learning pathway. You just won't be able to do the grad cert. The other thing I really want to flag is that the entry is competitive. We've had a large number of people that have participated or enrolled in the various programs, and we do have a multiple of the foundation streams that actually run at the same time, and multiple instances of those running across the year. If memory serves, I think it's something like 8 instances across the whole year now. And the numbers to those courses are capped at around about 40 each. There's some variation in there. So entry is competitive. It is based on your CV and your recent teaching practice. So we will prioritize those people who are actively teaching now and actively teaching a larger groups of students or larger numbers of classes. So it is based on your CV. The other important thing to know is about the application process. So if you were going to apply for the grad cert and you've already completed the teaching foundations, you do need to have your paperwork all ready and ready to upload. There are templates available from the Italy website, and of most of those, of the letter of support and the CV, which you can download and hand over to your land manager or your supervisor. You will need to have a copy of your teaching foundation certificate that is emailed to you after you've completed it. If you're a PhD student or a master's by research student, you will need to have approval from the dean of the graduate school as well. And you will also need to have your academic transcript or equivalent. Please be aware of the fact that we have experienced that people who have got an equivalence, it does take a lot longer to enroll because what has to happen is the administration team, admissions team, has to go through and verify your academic transcript. So you really do need to have all of your materials up and ready and early. To start in semester one, you actually have to have enrolled by the 31st of January of the year that you want to actually commence. That's not for the Teaching Foundations course, it's for the other 3 courses. To start in semester two, you've got until the 30th of June. What we're seeing now is that it does take around about 2 weeks for the process to go through for most people, but we have also seen that some applications have been upwards of 4 weeks. So we really do recommend that you submit well in advance of the closing date. So I would actually be recommending that if you've done the teaching foundations, you're going to be looking at applying in semester two, that you make sure that all of your documentation is ready to go now. Put it in now. I'm already approving people for semester two. If you were wanting to do something for the professional learning pathway, you'd love to be involved in the grad cert, or maybe you don't want to be involved in the grad cert. I'm just going to spend some time talking through this now. Um, all of the courses that you've got, all of them are able to be as professional learning activities. So what that means is that you could choose to do the assessment, or you could also equally choose not to do the assessment. If you look at the Italy website, which Steph has already put into the chat facility for you, you can see all of the information that includes the eligibility, the application forms. So if you wanted to enroll in one of the courses, you can apply through that. If you were doing professional learning courses, rather than going through the admissions process and SciNet and all of those kinds of things, you get the everything recorded and your grades all recorded in Workday. You still get the certificates of completion, assuming you do the assessment pieces, and you still get the courses that you could be eligible for HEA recognition, assuming you completed the assessment pieces. You can actually also engage with the professional learning and at the first instance, and then go, you know what, I actually do want to do the grad cert. And then if that's the case, you may actually be eligible for recognition of prior learning. But be aware of the fact that you can only have 2 courses for the recognition of prior learning, and you've already used one up for the teaching foundations. So you could do one of the curriculum design or the teaching and practice as prior learning. So we suggest that if you do the teaching foundations and then you do the curriculum design at UQ and then you go, actually, I do want to do a grad cert, that you apply before you do the teaching and practice. That's pretty much where I wanted to get right now, and I want to open it up for any questions at this point. And I am going to stop sharing for the moment, just so I can see your beautiful faces, if you want to jump online or ask any questions.
Deanne, there's
There.
a question in the chat that is asking, I guess, the benefits of doing the grad cert if you perhaps already hold a fellowship with the advanced HE. Are you able to talk to that for the group?
Absolutely. So if you've already got a fellowship, but perhaps you know that one of the things that you would really like to be able to do is enhance your capabilities around curriculum design. Um, then you can absolutely do the curriculum design course without having to enroll in the grad cert, and you can see what it is that you build in the gaps and silences that perhaps you've got in your areas of expertise. If you were thinking that having a formal credential would boost your employability further on, that might be a motivation for you doing a grad cert. If you were thinking that you might want to move to the UK, for example, and you if you have a grad cert under your belt, most universities in the UK actually require you to do a graduate certificate in the first 2 years of your practice, of 2 to 3 years. We're increasingly seeing universities in Australia adopting a similar sort of model. If you are on a fixed term contract, I'd really be recommending that you do the full grad cert, even if you already have a fellowship. But I think the most important part from that is the community that comes through and the capacity for you to build the community of learners that are working with you. So I do remember teaching in a previous grad cert that UQ used to offer, which was around higher education. I do remember that some of the participants in the course included an associate dean academic. I was teaching one head of school. I was teaching a couple of directors of teaching and learning committees, and we've got similar groups of people coming through the grad cert now. And for them, it was less about the capabilities as it was about the refreshing of their experiences. It was more about the capacity for them to connect with a community. It was about their capacity to engage more deeply with educational literature and scholarship around teaching and learning, which you may not have had the opportunity to do with a fellowship. So it's entirely personal. It really does depend on what your motivations are and what it is that you want to get out. If all you're looking at is what's the value of the piece of paper that you come out with, the fellowship is not quite the same as a graduate certificate because it's not a formal credential. But if you have a graduate certificate in university teaching practice, it may be that we haven't negotiated this, but it may be that you could use that as an entry point into a master's program at UQ elsewhere. It may be that you were able to, or a graduate diploma in one of the other universities. I know the UK and Canada and a bunch of other institutions offer quite a few of the graduate diplomas as well. It's not necessarily something that we do a lot of in teaching and learning at UQ, but I'm happy to be stand corrected. Stood corrected. But it really does depend on what your motivations are. I've just spotted a question from Aurora as well. Does it need to be finished during employment? Yes, it does. It does mean that it's only open to UQ staff members, and you would need to participate while you're a UQ staff member. And the reason for that is because it's free for UQ staff members. If we were to change that, it meant that we would have to charge fees for everybody, and that's not the case. But what I would be recommending is that if your fixed term contract finishes up at the end of this year, for example, if you did 2 of the courses through this year, or maybe even 3, and you move to a different institution, a lot of the grad certs have got similar foci. That's what we've purposely benchmarked against other universities' grad certs to make sure that there is the capacity for you to transfer credits and credit points. So that was one of the intentions. But again, if you're looking at the professional learning, the communities, all of those things, I think they still hold true.
Dan, can I just add, we had a similar question before where someone had also asked if there was I guess like a pause in their contract, whether they would be able to come back and complete the remaining courses. So say, they did something this year, then they didn't have a contract with the university for whatever reason for 6 months or a year and then rejoined, could they pick back up the grad cert?
Absolutely. I can't see any problem with that. The only thing that we do have is you might have to re-enroll, and it just means that if we're completely swamped, you may not be able to enroll in the exact semester that you would like to. But because we still do have those limitations about how many people we can actually, the caps, that's the word I was looking for. But if there was space, we'd be happy to have you back. Any other questions or comments? Well, we finished a lot earlier than I was intending, so you better have a lot more questions.
I have done my master's in medical education where I have designed the curriculum and we did the blueprinting of assessment and all these things as a master's degree. So if I want to join, I'm a PhD domestic student. If I want to join this certificate, do I need to enroll myself in recognizing my previous learning? Or
Yeah, so because this is an accredited program, we still have to have people complete the assignments because the assignments have been approved by the accrediting body. So it's pretty difficult to do recognition of prior learning from outside the university unless they were also accredited. So we'd have to have a personal one-to-one conversation. We'd have to look at seeing what your materials are and whether that's actually been accredited. And if not, then you probably would need to engage with some of the courses. But if you've got a master's degree in the same space, then you've actually engaged with this material at a much more advanced level than what we're doing here. So the foundations program is very much a foundations, the beginning. I've not taught before. This is just me getting started on this kind of pathway. The curriculum design and the teaching and practice are also similarly introductory, a little bit more advanced, a little bit more. But if you've been doing intense courses at a master's level, you've probably done it at a lot more advanced level than this particular grad cert.
So I've done this outside Australia, but I have an experience of designing curriculum. I'm a dentist, so I design dental curriculum in Saudi Arabia and in Pakistan as well.
Yeah.
So where can I meet you in person?
So what I would suggest we do is we just and I will actually put that was the last slide. So I think we'll do that. I'll share that because there's all the details that continue to share. Yes, we know Zoom. That's the email address. If you contact the email address, what we can do is set up some conversations. But I would just like to say that again, for those of you that are who have already got a master's degree or particularly by coursework, you've already engaged with this kind of thing. You've probably done it at a higher level, and in essence, what you're doing is going backwards, and it's probably not suitable for you to do. But we would have to see if there was any kind of accreditation. I'd be recommending, and based on what you'd said, that the alternate pathway, if you wanted to get fellowship, would be to engage with the HEA at UQ program. Steph, I wonder if you wouldn't mind just putting that into the chat as well, the link to the HEA at UQ program. And that might be a better way for you to go. I think it's important to know that this is a developmental course. So it does suggest that you've not had the experience of designing curriculum for a dentistry program in the past, that you've not necessarily had the opportunity of doing some changes and innovation around your teaching practice, that you've not had some leadership opportunities in teaching and like program convening or something similar to that, that you've not engaged with scholarship of teaching and learning. And so if you haven't built those capabilities, then what I would be recommending is engage with the grad cert. If you have already got those capabilities and you have been working at universities, at UQ and elsewhere for a number of years, then my recommendation is for you to go through the HEA fellowship program, which is a formal recognition. Again, it's a credentialed recognition of your existing teaching expertise. So if you already have the teaching expertise and you've done these things before, and you've got a number of years of evidence here or elsewhere under your belt, HEA at UQ. If you are beginning the journey, or you've had some experience but not all of it, there's gaps in your experience, then I'd be recommending the development pathways, whether you choose to do the full grad cert or portions of the grad cert as professional learning. That's up to you. If you're looking to connect with the awesome teachers that are UQ teachers, that's also an opportunity for you to do it through the grad cert or the HEA community. Actually, either one, you get the opportunity of working with the teachers
If
across
you allow
UQ.
me, I mean, can I opt both the options of having this graduate certificate and also?
You don't need to, because if you do the grad cert, you automatically get associate fellowship and fellowship. If you complete the assessment pieces, you automatically get associate fellowship for the first one, and you automatically get fellowship for the second two if you complete both of those. So you don't need to do both. And I think that was the question that's Steph originally posted, was that if you've already got fellowship, do you need to go back to the grad cert? The question is, the answer to that is it depends on what it is that you're wanting to get out of it. You've probably got the capabilities and the skill sets for the people that are doing fellowship. Maybe all you want to do is just do the professional learning component of the leading teaching projects, and that's all you want to do is round out your fellowship with that. But you would be doing one or the other. Because the development program automatically gives you associate fellowship and fellowship.
Because I'm new here in Australia, I'm learning every day. So these two fellowships are the same fellowships provided by the Higher Education Academy?
They're the same.
Thank
It's
you.
the same. Yep. Apologies if that wasn't clear. I do apologize. It's the same fellowship. You're doing the same thing. You're just doing it from different angles.
Sure.
Okay.
Thank you.
Any other questions? Any other comments?
Jen, there's one final question in the chat. Someone who's best suited to coordinating at UQ, but we have already kicked off the semester one offering. I didn't know whether you wanted to talk to that particular stream of the teaching foundations. And if there might be an alternative for that person, like teaching at UQ, because we'll be running an intensive of that later this year.
Yeah, thanks, Julie. I've just seen it now. The coordinating at UQ, we're actually looking at changing that slightly in the second half of this year, and you will be able to see more information. Oh, excuse me. Excuse me. You will be able to see more information at a certain point. But yes, you have missed the coordinating at UQ this time around. It's actually running at the moment, and we're already, I think, about a third of the way through. But we will have more. There will be another one later on the semester, but just watch this space. As always, there's always an opportunity for you to connect through with the team, and we can possibly point you into, if you look for the drop-ins sessions as well, the consulting, teaching consultations on the Italy website. That also gives you an opportunity to just have a conversation with somebody about your career trajectory and where it is that you wanted, where you want to go. Correct? That I think it might be something you want to have to do as well. If you just put through the email, we can link you up with that. Okay, I think we're out of time. Am I right? I think that's the end of the session. Karen, is that we're done now? Oh no,
Can you hear me?
No,
Yeah,
we can
that's
hear
better.
you. Can you hear
Yeah,
us?
I can hear you. No, I
Great.
just wanted to ask everybody to complete our poll if you've got time, just a bit of feedback to help us make everything better for you. So if you have a minute before you run away, jump into the poll. Super informative. Don't forget, there's more exciting things in Ready to Teach Week for the rest of the week. Next is inclusive teaching, student access plans, and there's an update on academic integrity later in the day. So jump on to the website if you've got time and register. Thank you very much, Deanne and Steph. Very informative.
Thank you, everybody. Looking forward to working with you going forward.
Okay.
Thank you all.